Meeting to order at this time, please. For the record, we did have an executive session to discuss discipline and possible legal actions. Began at 5:15 this evening. I think the first item on the agenda is the Education Committee, so I will turn it over to Mr. Van Norman.
I'd like to open the Education Committee meeting and turn it over to Dr. Silver.
Thank you very much. This evening we are beginning with Mr. Williams. He is going to talk about our annual career fair.
And sorry, guys, that I'm back here, but just wanted to note that the date of the career fair is going to be set for April 1st. I've heard again about the idea that it is April Fool's Day, so I am aware of that, but it is set for April 1st. This is in response, so the date specifically is in response to some feedback from last year. So after last year's event, we did send out some surveys for our participants to complete and give feedback about the event. One of the biggest things that I heard was that the timing of the event proved difficult, specifically for some of the universities and colleges that come in. And that is because that's really in their busy time of year when we start to get into mid to late April. So when I took a look at it, April 1st still allowed us to be that Wednesday prior to us going on our spring break, which I think was a nice transition in having that event. But it got us about 2 weeks earlier and got us closer to the beginning of April, end of March. So that was the reasoning behind the date, and so I think that's going to be an effective date for us to hold the career fair. There is going to be a transition in terms of the responsibility of organizing the career fair. So as I'm moving into my role as the middle school principal, our incoming assistant principal is going to take over that responsibility, but with my help and my support, making sure that all the resources that I had, all the contacts that I had, and all the planning materials that I had go to her, and I'll certainly help in any way that I can. And we are going to start to reach out to those participants and set up them coming and participating again. Part of that feedback, I heard a lot of positivity about the event, how it was held. And so great event. We're going to continue that, and we look forward to that, and that's our date that we have set. Any questions from anybody on the career fair? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next up is Dr. Bali with the high school Keystone testing schedule.
Dr. Stoker. Okay, so Dr. Stoker has this up here. So we just wanted to bring to your attention before we send out to families. For the past couple of years that I've been here, we've really taken a look at how we're administering Keystone. And we look at, as you know, we've had, boot camps and things like that. And everybody talks about what is it, what are the variables that really play a part in how we do, what our performance is. So we would be remiss if we did not look at the physical kind of schedule that we've had. So we did some homework last year throughout the year. We spoke to a lot of districts in both Lehigh and Northampton counties, and many of the districts we found did two things. They did both modules in one day. So, in years past, before I was here, for Keystone, there were 6 days of testing at any given time. So in the winter, there would be 6 days. Algebra 1, day 1, day 2, module 1, module 2. Literature, same thing, module 1, module 2. And so a group of us, including kids, came together and said, well, let's look at what other districts are doing. Let's talk about this. So last year, after looking at all of that, we moved to both modules in one day, because that seemed to be, instead of spreading it out over 6 days, condensing it to 3 days, both modules in one day per subject seemed to make a difference. It did for our scores. So we built on that this year coming up. We've been building on that. And many of the districts also provide asynchronous instruction, so not in the building, for non-testers. And then our testers come in, and it's only the testers that come in and take the test. This is, again, in many districts, this is how they do. And we looked, you never know what variable it is, but our schedule, what can we do differently and maybe better for our kids that are testing? Because as much as we try to make it a testing environment, it's still a traditional day for everybody else. So we try and block off the hallways and make it quiet and do all of those things. And I think we do a pretty good job of that. But, I think our schedule is this year better than ever. So what we're doing this year for both the winter and the spring, we are bringing in the Keystone testers only for 3 days in the winter and 3 days in the spring. All of your non-testers will remain at home to do work asynchronously that have been posted with by their classroom teachers. So if you could scroll down a little bit there, Dr. Stoker. So you see the subjects, you see the location, transportation, everything will run as usual, and I'll get to that in a minute. So you'll see in January, we will be testing on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Again, testers only are coming into our building, and then we have our recommended spring testing dates there as well. So what I want to go down to is the building operations section during testing, just so you can see what we're doing. Keystone testers, again, would be required to come in. They will take module 1 in the morning. They will break for lunch as we normally do. So it's going to be a very quiet lunch and learn session. And then they'll come back for module 2 in the afternoon. Our non-testers will be virtually instructed from home. Our LCTI students may still attend LCTI. They may come in and get the bus as they normally do. Our life skills students will attend school in the brick and mortar building on a normal schedule. Other students may attend school. They will have supervised study areas provided, so we'll have additional staff to provide support to help them with their asynchronous learning, but within the school building. Meals will still be available, so breakfast and lunch will still be served. Special education students, as I said, life skills students specifically will still attend school, and then anyone else will have it's voluntary for those students to come in. MLL students, it's a really great time because it's very difficult for these students. Some of them take Keystone, some of them take the WIDA. So it's this beautiful time now where they're going to have extended time to do the WIDA. It's going to also be in a testing setting where it's quiet and there's a lot of staff there to support them. And then down to food services, we talked about that already. Breakfast and lunch will be provided. And then the other things down below, teacher responsibilities, we're just outlining there for you what the proctoring teachers are doing. Those are the actual teachers that are giving the Keystone exams. The non-proctoring teachers will be supporting those proctors, but also available for testing escorts, relief of proctoring teachers, providing support for the asynchronous or check-in sessions, etc. With that. So additional considerations. This was my first stop, making sure that we brought it to your attention so that you clearly understand kind of what our vision is here. But then the next step would be to send home letters and emails detailing testing dates, what the expectations are for the virtual instruction, transportation, and how it will still be provided, as well as LCTI and meal availability. And then we just have a couple other things there about technology and student prep. Those are just talking about the Keystone prep sessions that we had last year. For any student that is not on benchmark, we're requiring those students to come in 1 day a week for 6 weeks to get some extra boosting for the Keystone test. So we just felt it was important to bring it to the education committee, to all of you, before we send out correspondences to the families. So do you have any questions on our schedule? Yes, we're hoping it makes a difference.
Dr. Bali, I appreciate you for students that want to come into the school, because then they can maintain a regular type of school day to do their work in the building, and also they get their breakfast and lunch too. So I know a lot of schools don't accommodate that. I'd like to see that we're accommodating that for those students.
All right, thank you as always.
Thanks, Dr. Bali. Next up, we have Mr. Briner, Voyager Passport.
Thank you, Dr. Sturker. Good evening, everyone. So, as you're aware, we follow multi-tier systems of support, and through that process, we do We follow a data-driven process where we identify student needs and we provide intervention for those student needs. One of the things that we've been doing over the course of the last couple of years is trying to expand our what I would call our tool belt, our intervention tool belt, so that we have answers when, if we're trying something in a particular program and we're not seeing the gains that we want to see or that we should be seeing, that we have another answer to try. When I first came to Northern Lehigh, that the tool belt wasn't as diversified as it is now. One of the things that we are seeing as an area that we would like to continue to diversify is in the area of reading comprehension and interventions to be provided when a child needs assistance in reading comprehension. So together with my team, we started doing some research on programs and what intervention programs are out there that have good data that show efficacy in what the program offers. One of the programs that we found was Voyager passports through Voyager Sopris. And in doing research on this particular program, both last year and into this year, we found that they had a grant available for the program. So we applied for the grant and we won the grant. So the grant actually covers about $3,300 worth of material / professional development. So it comes with a teacher resource kit for basically 2 grade levels, which would be 4th grade and 5th grade, 6 student kind of packs, as well as 3 hours of professional development for a total of about $3,300. So we were very excited about winning that grant because this is something that we were looking into down the line a little bit, meaning probably for next year. But with winning the grant, we'd like to move forward this year with investigating this more and utilizing this tool as a means to diversify our toolkit. So what I also am bringing today is a quote for expanding this down to 3rd grade. The second quote that's linked there is a quote for $1,200. And that would basically provide the same exact resources that we're getting in 4th and 5th grade down to 3rd grade, and that would be covered through my building budget. But I wanted to bring it here to, one, tell you about the grant because I thought that was wonderful that we actually won that, and then the second thing is also offer this quote as an explanation for the quote as to why we're trying to move this down to 3rd grade as well, to expand it between 3 through 5. So, do I have to ask to move that forward?
So we would be looking for the board members present. Are we okay moving that forward to the board agenda for Monday night for a vote?
Anything to help reading and comprehension? Yes. Can I ask a question on that one?
Sure.
Just on the reading and comprehension side of it, I know with the newer reading program, is this a program that kind of connects with that, or is there any connection to the program, or is it something totally different and just another tool?
So it's an additional tool that addresses some additional areas that are appropriate as the students developmentally move up through the grades. The intervention program that we bought specifically with Amplify CKLA covers a lot of early literacy skills and less in regards to the later vocabulary and comprehension skills that students would have. Now, Voyager Sopris actually does cover material down into some of the stuff that we're getting currently now with Amplify, but it covers some additional stuff then. Yeah. So it would be an extension up with the things that are more appropriate at the later grade levels.
Sounds good. Just want to make sure they're in the right context. when we're looking at them.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
would operate as a continuum, yeah.
they're all connected in terms of the alignment of concepts. However, again, they kind of address things in a little bit of a different way, which is nice when we're not necessarily seeing the gains in what we are using.
Yep.
You know, to have an answer to say, okay, we're going to try this now. So.
And is there a roadmap that you'll end up creating to say, I'm going to use this one, if this, and this one, this, and this?
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep.
Then I'm good.
Thank you.
Scott, do you have any idea how many students that you would use this for initially?
So initially, you know, we're talking, what is that, 18, 20 students to start, but then expanding it further from there. Again, we're still kind of going through that initial step of professional development. You know, the 6 kits kind of will come with like 6 kind of workbooks. You know, there may be a time where we're going to look to, okay, we need some more workbooks, but that's purchasing on the student end, which is quite honestly the cheaper side of everything for like consumables type of things. The more expensive side in this is the teacher kits, and then also the professional development, which we pretty much won through the grant.
Okay, I just didn't know how much of an audience you were looking to start with. That was my question.
We're going to use it as much as we need, so I don't have a specific, but for right now we have 18.
Okay.
If you decide you like this program, is there grants available year to year for this one, or is this just a one-time grant? And
I think it's a one-time grant, but that doesn't necessarily mean that can't change.
Right.
But I think it's a one-time grant. The one thing that is nice about this is the teacher kits don't need to be like redone. So like once we have those in place and the professional development, it's really just purchasing the consumables year to year, which again is the much cheaper way with this program.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Brenner. Next up is Mr. Schneiderite with the Da Vinci Science Center program.
Great. Good evening, everyone. I was just coming to share with you this evening a short one, but some exciting news. At the end of last school year, Michelle Ciesco, who's a kindergarten teacher at Peters, also the Shine teacher, approached me to request to go for a scholarship through the Da Vinci Science Center for some of their traveling assemblies. I'm here to share with you that we were awarded that scholarship, which drastically reduced the cost of bringing a program called Mixing Matter to Peters Elementary School. Our PTO graciously, volunteered to fund the rest of it, so they'll be coming to our school for free of charge. Many of you have probably heard of the Da Vinci Science Center. It's an outstanding organization. It's a wonderful sort of hub of science, and they're going to be doing a program for us. It's going to be a grade level assembly for K1 and 2 called Mixing Matter. I did share with you a little bit here about what they shared with us. I'm calling it fire and ice. They've got fiery explosions, soap explosions followed by liquid nitrogen. The idea of this connecting to the STEEL standards is really important because, the STEEL standards approaches education, especially science, in a phenomena-based research. The idea is we're not going to tell you what this is. Students at this age, they ask questions like, what would happen if? This is a great sort of introduction into what would happen if, to really get the students thinking about science in a different way. I shared it with our teachers today at our faculty meeting, and we're excited to bring it in. We're looking at sometime probably second to third week of November. So just wanted to share with the board some excitement. And of course, if there's any questions, I've never seen the program before, but again, I'm very well aware of the Da Vinci Science Center and really excited about it.
Mr. Schneider,
Is this,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Green.
is this anything that maybe, the 3rd, 5th graders would be interested in, involved in, or is it definitely geared toward, kindergarten, 1st grade? I don't know, is it something we could involve our entire elementary in, since
Sure.
we're getting this, or? would
It
that
is
be-
listed, Mr. Green, as a K through 8 program. The scholarship basically covered the cost at Peters Elementary School. Certainly, I can, Mr. Briner wants to come and check it out for his building. I mean, they can certainly look to bring that back as well.
At least maybe if you go, maybe a teacher or two, whatever, get a look, say, hey, this might work at our school also, if we could get it. I don't know, it sounds like a wonderful program.
Very excited about it, yep.
Is there an estimate of the cost to bring it to Slatington?
So
Or
they.
what your scholarship was for?
Sure. They quoted us, I think it was around $1,100 total. The scholarship drastically reduced that, to like, $300 or something like that. And then, again, our PTO is funding the rest of it. So I believe it was for 3 grade levels, right around 1,100. I think it was 1,195. So, so that could be something I can share the information with Mr. Briner. And again, if he wants to check it out, I'll send him the invite. And, certainly could be something to consider, K through 8. And 7 and 8. So maybe Mr. Williams as well. Whatever he is.
I'm definitely excited about it as a former science teacher, and skills and phenomenon-based learning, so yes, thank you.
That's excellent, and again, our PTO does so many amazing things for our elementary buildings. They're just coming off a very successful fundraiser. Please just make sure, I'm looking at some of the descriptors here, and I'm thinking of some of the very young children that I've worked with through the years. Just make sure they know what to expect. When I see things like fiery explosions, and that their parents know, the children know, and that maybe just consult with the person about how, is it going to put out smoke? Is it going to put out an odor that may trigger some of our systems?
Sure.
Just kind of think through all that, because we want it to be a really fun, exciting day for all the students and your faculty.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr.
Anything else for the education committee?
Nope. All right. I'd like to close out the Education Committee meeting and turn over to Mrs. Snyder.
Okay, I will open up the curriculum committee meeting and turn it over to Mr. Pine, I think.
Yes, just give me a moment here and I'll actually bring some of this up. Where is it? There we go. Doesn't seem to want to respond. Oh, there we go. Okay. So it's math night, curriculum committee. So I've got a number of topics here just to bring forward to the school board, two of which right now are going to require a motion on the school board agenda, one of which may in the future. So it's just worth sort of hearing about at this time. The first is we're sort of right in the middle of the we're headed into the final phase of our math selection process. And so if you remember, about midpoint last year, we really started looking at math programs with the goal of, in January of this year, reaching a point where we were making a selection and a recommendation to the school board. We looked at 4 separate programs, some of which do divide. Not all of these are K through 8 that we looked at, and that's just the design of many of the programs. And we sort of really came down to 2 very strong contenders. 2 within our elementary level, and one of those was also our strongest contender at our secondary level. So right now, we are looking to move forward with an actual pilot. So I know Amplify CKLA last year, we kind of got away with being able to use this experience kit that they sent out, which is about 2 weeks, and gave our teachers a little bit of a taste. That's not very common. That's not a common experience within program selection processes or in the industry. And so we are actually with math gonna have to move forward with a pilot, which is gonna cost some money. So the first quote that I have up here is for Innovamat. Innovamat's a fairly new company, but it's a company that is regionally within the greater region, but then also within the Lehigh Valley, catching a lot of attention. And this is the program that right now, based on our work last year, our elementary teachers are most interested in. You will see in both quotes there are no cost to any of the materials in either of the pilots. The costs come down to, and I think Mr. Bronner alluded to this with the Voyager Sopris, grant, is professional development costs. So it's the training of the teachers. And like Amplify CKLA, this is a significant shift in instruction in the classroom for math. As a matter of fact, I sat in the iReady training where one of our teachers the other day, it was last week, said, "Oh my gosh, this is so different than what I do." And that's a good thing, but that's also a thing that's going to require a lot of support. So the InnovaMat training, which comes with 10 units of professional development over the course of it, that includes some coaching for the teachers that are piloting it, is $10,000. And then if I escape, come back here, Curriculum Associates, which actually only includes 3 units, but those 3 units are all full days of professional development, comes to $6,900. So in 2 separate motions, I would like to bring forward to the board next Monday approval in order to move forward with these pilots. We do already have all the materials. They've sent them. They sent them all under agreement that if for some reason we were not going to move forward, we would send them back. And we actually already have had the teachers have some preliminary training just to get exposure to the programs and be prepared. Our intention would be, pending board approval next Monday, to move forward in October. My setup for this for the teachers has been, I want you to select a day to begin the program within the next 2 weeks after the training, which will be on October 13th. The idea being there that I want them to select a logical breaking point in what they're currently teaching before they move forward in the program at the next logical breaking point within the program, rather than setting an arbitrary date and having everyone sort of make that shift. And then we would, again, still by January, hopefully make a selection, have everyone in a place where we can get that feedback, have the teachers who are not participating in the pilot see those classrooms, and then conduct a full evaluation based on the priorities that we set last year. And both programs have committed that the teachers who are engaging the pilot will have full access and all materials they need to continue using whichever program they're using for the remainder of the year. And so that was a contingency I wanted to put in place, so that way if I'm a teacher and I'm signing up for this and I'm doing this between October and January, I'm not now burdened with trying to figure out how do I again shift back to our current Eureka programming. So they will have the ability to use that through the remainder of the year regardless of the selection in January.
Mr. Pine, is this within the current budget year curriculum budget?
Sorry, thank you. Yes. So knowing this was coming, I budgeted for this current year. Yeah. So the curriculum and instruction budget currently has this money, actually a little bit more than this was planned in, just in case. This money planned in order to make this purchase. Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions in regards to this? And is anyone opposed to putting it on the board, for the board Monday? Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your support in that. So the next item on the agenda, the word I think everyone loves, free. We'll throw that one on here, so hopefully that'll balance out some of the costs that we're asking to incur. Math Nation's a program that we were also involved in conversations with last year. This is actually a program that PDE has decided last year was the first year to engage in grant funding in order to allow every school district in the state to have access to it. And when I say that, before we say like, oh, well, what are these other programs? Math Nation, the PDE purchase is only for Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. So it actually fits really nicely in a place right now where we don't have a programmatic solution in mind. We don't have a curriculum replacement in mind. And right now we've been working with the math teachers, and on October 13th, again, we're going to have an initial PD overview for them of the program. Ms. Bariana and I both had a conversation with the presenter. She walked us through it. We were very impressed, but we want to get them into it and taking a look at it. The program includes, well, pending approval of the state budget. Right now they're giving us all access to the digital materials material is free regardless of how the state budget turns out. But pending approval through the state budget, we will also receive hard copy books for all students, workbooks for all students. Right now, Math Nation, there's not a single state that has adopted this as part of their state funding that has dropped it. So to me, that's a pretty good track record to at least consider it and take a look at it. And that really is how we're posing this right now for our high school teachers math, is that, hey, we want to take a look at this. We want to see if this is something that we can incorporate this year a bit and sort of test it out. And then I'm assuming if it survives this budget season, that it will survive other budget seasons in the future, because this seems like a particularly challenging one at the state level. So any questions about Math Nation? If we move forward with anything official other than looking at it and having the teachers dabble with it, I would certainly bring it back here again and probably ask for a motion to adopt it even without cost, just as something that we're formally using across grade levels in the high school.
Could bring back all those initiatives you want. Yeah, the free of no charge, yeah.
Yeah, as much
like
free.
that.
Yeah, free is good. Free is good.
Any more questions?
No, for algebra scores, it's well worth it.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, and so actually, and to that point, we're still working with Curriculum Associates iReady, they do have an algebra program that they keep on advertising as targeted towards 8th grade algebra students, which could leave a gap for our Algebra 1 students in 9th grade. I'm really pushing back on that, and I want to see the program more in order to evaluate why they're drawing this line, as some algebra students it's appropriate for and some it's not. But I absolutely agree. I think that something like Math Nation right now could provide a little bit more in terms of teacher resources and structure to support, hopefully our Algebra 1 scores at the high school level as well.
Anything else? No? And we will close the curricular committee meeting and turn it over to the technology committee.
I will open up the technology committee meeting and turn the program over to Mr. Hill.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I just have a quick update. Last technology committee, we spoke about E-rate category 1. So I just wanted to let the board know that I did complete the required E-rate form 470 in the E-rate system. That opens up requests for proposals for our fiber line from Slatington Elementary to Peters Elementary. So that is open in the E-rate portal system. And our requests for proposals are due by November 21st, 2025 at 3 p.m. So that's when vendors have to submit their requests for proposals. I have not received any proposals yet, but I'm sure by that date we'll get a few proposals. So that's the only update I have for you tonight. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I will close the technology committee meeting and turn the program over to Mr. Fedorchak.
And I will open the technology committee, and I will turn it over to you, Mr. Mann.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My first bullet is for the extension of the Spot Stevens and McCoy contract. This is a contract we get every year for Spot Stevens and McCoy to do our SDS updates, the asbestos checks at the high school, the lead checks at the middle school. So from last year, last year's proposal was $8,450. This year is $9,210, an increase of $760. This is pulled out of my account. This is budgeted every year since I've been here. So any questions?
Mr. Mann, I'm just curious.
Sure.
The SDS, does that come in digital or is it still paper?
It's digital.
Good. Okay.
Yes, we do get a flash drive every year.
Okay.
I think if I look through the cabinet, I think the last time we had paper is like 2014 that Greg had kept it. But yeah, we actually get digital copies now.
Thank you.
So if there's no questions, can I have the support to put it on Mondays for approval?
Sure. Yep.
The next one is later on this week, we should be receiving the new pickup truck that we had budgeted for back in June. And not too soon, we did lose one pickup truck from a rusted frame. They wouldn't no longer support it and wouldn't inspect it any longer. So we're actually down a truck. So it's actually really good and couldn't come at a better time. So we'll actually have a full fleet again for this winter. So the next one is RMC. So RMC is the company that comes out, they do our water testing for all the buildings for our heating and cooling loops. So they test our glycol and our cooling loops to make sure that we don't, so that it doesn't deteriorate the piping. They also add additives to it so that it doesn't erode the pipes, as well as like our glycol levels. They also clean our towers, our cooling towers at Slatington and out at Peters. This proposal this year, they actually put everything together into one. In the past, it has been comes in 3 different sections. Just to make it a little bit easier on us, they did it all in one. So for this, it would be $16,980 for the year.
This has nothing to do with drinking water, correct?
This is nothing to do with drinking water. This is just heating and cooling loops. Correct.
That's what I thought.
Do you have an increase in that one from last year
I
that you know of?
don't know
that's fine. I
offhand
just
to
wondered,
take the
you know.
3 different quotes together.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure it's an increase. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think anything has not increased from last year. But I can absolutely look into it for you and let you know. If there's no questions and I have the support of the board, can I, for Monday night approval? Thank you.
Can we just note that increase in this Friday's update?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The next is Peters Elementary Intercom System. So we kind of had happen out at Peters, the same thing that happened at the high school. The personnel out at Peters went to make an announcement for a drill, and the intercom system didn't work. So we're going through kind of the same problems that we had at the high school. It's failing end of life. There's no parts available to repair them anymore. So the next thing is to get them replaced. I do have this in my budget to replace the Peters unit. We are looking for proposals for the middle school and the Slatington Elementary, only because those are the next 2 buildings that are coming of age also. So Mr. Hillack and his team went and found proposals for the middle school and Slatington also. We'll bring those out when we get them at a later date.
So it's going to be a better system? Or,
Yes, it'll be an up-to-date system. I'm not 100% sure. Mr. Hill might be able to tell a little bit more, but should be able to be integrated with any newer type systems that we install, fire systems or any of that.
Okay, that's a little something.
Yeah, it's an IP-based system, so it does integrate with a lot of the newer technology that we have. And also that the system that's out there now is at least 30 years old, I believe a little more than 30 years, just to put a little timeline on it for everybody. So yeah, this is a system that's very similar to what we have, actually same as what they just put in at the high school. So you can network things together and yeah, you can do a lot with it. It has a lot of programmable features.
That's great.
You said that the middle school and Slatington may need one too?
Yes, so
It is
they're
like
just
soon, you think, you know?
Well, that's why we went out for proposals.
I'm
So
just
we're more
wondering if it would
prepared.
make sense to have a proposal for all 3 schools and see if you might be able to get more cost-effective pricing doing it that way?
I would propose maybe we wait to get through the rest of this agenda because there's going to be some other recommended
There's a big one on
purchases. And we may want to stage these, either do both of them in next year's budget or one next year and then one the following year. But we can open that conversation then
Yeah.
once we look at some of the other items.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's coming up.
Just a question, this particular intercom system, will that address some of the items or a item that was on the feasibility audit that we had? So this would take care of those, I think I read, and it's been a little bit, the visuals and the PA system, like that kind of stuff, or
It's
is
not
this just
it's not like the visual, some systems do like visual hallway alerts that actually scroll messages. I'll confirm with Mr. Hill, but that is not this system.
Yeah, it's not part of this system, but you can do some additional ADA type features with this system in the future. If we want to, there may be some things we have to add on to it, but yes, it will address some of those concerns. Yeah.
those types of things that have to get added on to? I'm just curious to, if we're taking the time to install things and do things, and what is it to get it and I know there's a big thing coming, I get it. But at least looking at these schools when we are replacing these, to get them to where we want them to be, not just to replace and repair them.
So this new
does that make
system,
sense?
absolutely. So this system that we're installing now is that first step. It's kind of like your baseline car, and then you can add stuff onto it. So
How much
we can
does it
add
stuff onto it?
It depends on what you would look for. Like you said, if you want to scroll in marquee, you can add that on. What that cost is, we never went out and found a proposal for it. The voice activation or voice announcements, the system will do. We didn't get a proposal for that. So we're more or less just getting a baseline so we can get it in so that when they're making an announcement, they can hear it.
My only concern with that is we get the baseline and we'll never get to the actual feasibility because we've replaced it and it's working and something new comes up. So just want to make sure that we're not missing the opportunity when we can to put the right thing in to do what we need it to do when we need it to do it.
But my understanding is you can add these things in down the road. So it's not like the system isn't set up for us to be able to go, okay, we have a lot of money in our budget, now we can do this. I mean, right, we're at least we're taking care of what's necessary to be able to communicate.
Correct. So perhaps what we can do is, and I hear what you're saying, and there's logic to that. So this is a must-do now, right? Because the one at Peters has failed. As we're looking through the consideration for Slatington Elementary School and the Northern Lehigh Middle School, maybe what we can do then is ask them to kind of give us a menu of what it would be for the add-ons. And then from there, that should give us a better idea of what it would actually cost if we want to go back, fully load Peters Elementary School and what it would be for the other two schools. And probably even to go back and add some of those additional features for the high school.
I foresee what'll happen, something big like the next page is gonna come up, and we're gonna never get back to doing something, and then we're gonna say, oh, we should have done that. So, just making sure that we're continuously looking ahead. So, thank you for doing that.
So is there any other questions? And with the members present, do I get approval to put it on for Monday's approval? Thank you very much. And now we're into the big one. So over the summer and late spring, we had a chiller at the high school to go down, completely offline. We were running over the summer and most of the spring so far, or in the fall, on one unit. So that second unit isn't running at full capacity either. So we went out and we actually had a company come in to repair the second unit. That isn't running at all. That's the first line there. So to repair the system, the one that's installed now, has a price tag of $82,500. Now again, that's to repair a system that is 19 years old. Most air-cooled chillers in the outside environment are on average 15 to 20 years is their lifespan. So we're at 19 already. One reason that the repair costs so much is because the unit still uses R410, which is an old Freon, which is no longer allowed to be used now. So it's not a complete swap. Newer units, you could pull out whatever you want, a compressor, and just replace it because it's modern Freon. Being it's old Freon, you have to evacuate all of it before you can even start replacing parts. So once you evacuate it, then you have to clean the system, then you can start replacing parts. That's where we are now with the repair. But with the repair, again, it's at $82,000. If you see the line below it, for a new unit, one unit, it's $236,000. So you're almost at a third to repair one as it is for the price to replace it.
And if we were to put new ones in, this would be addressing the feasibility studies, saying that we were going to need new ones down the road anyway.
Correct, which we had on our long forecast to be repaired, I think it was 3 years. Unfortunately, we didn't get there.
My personal opinion is you need to replace them. I wouldn't even mess with the repair. You're putting $100,000 into a repair. So you might as well go and then get 20 more years out of these new ones, maybe longer, who knows?
Well, absolutely. So you put 82,000 and change into it, and it could break down 2 days after you do it. You would hope not. You would hope that when they came out to repair it, they would go over everything else and do a thorough check. But they can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
No one's going to come out, do a repair on a 19-year-old system and still guarantee it for, you know, their work.
I think we have to bite the bullet and get both of them.
Yeah, I agree. A
Yeah.
20-year-old system with Freon, let's move
Yeah.
on. Let's go.
So Matt, that's a question.
Sure.
Were both those systems installed at the same time?
Yes, they're both installed in
So that one's
2006.
staggered because if one fails, okay.
Yeah,
So
so-
we're gonna essentially do the same thing again, so both of them will fail at the same time again.
Well, that's where we're coming about now to
Just
talk
wondering
about.
from
So if we repair one and wait a year or two and then repair the second one, then you're staggering it. But then you still run the risk of we repaired one and 6 months later the second one goes down, and then we're actually saving the $17,370 because of crane fees and disposal fees, where if we would stagger them, you're not saving that money now.
I understand your proposal, though, because why have both of them go down at the same
Yes.
time?
Right.
Why can't you stagger? But from an economy of scale, right now with how low they are, I don't see how you can.
So I truly appreciate the enthusiasm for this. I am going to ask Mrs. Molatoris to kind of talk us through. So just, and then Chris, can you just, before Mrs. Molatoris, share some different things to consider for this year's current budget and next year's budget that, believe it or not, we'll soon be working on. Could you just share the contractor and CoStar status?
So the contractor is McClure. The reason we went with McClure was because they are co-stars. So even if I would go out for bid, 9 chances out of 10, they're not going to come anywhere close to this because co-stars is monitored by the state. So there's certain criteria they have to match in order to be a co-stars contractor. The other reason was that we went with them was because it was so much faster. So then to go out for an RFP, and then you have to do that for a month. So it was just a lot easier to go with McClure. Plus, McClure knows the area, they know the building. They've been here how many times, so that was another reason why we chose McClure to get us this proposal.
If we choose to go out for bid, would McClure have to requote, or how does that work?
They can. They can.
I mean, this is just me, I guess. It's chiller, it's going into winter season. So I'm not sure time's of the essence, because you're not gonna, you can put it in on the winter time, but chances are it's not gonna go in until your springtime. So we do have a little bit of time, and to make a $456,000 decision without, I know we like McClure, I know we like CoStars, but I'm getting to the point where we need to start looking what's available. And how are we saving money? I don't know, because we haven't been given the option to see something other than CoStar. So I'm taking your word for it that it is better, but we also haven't seen anything, and this is the first really a little bit larger purchase than kind of right up front, and looking at where we are on a budget side. I'm more towards, I would like to see it go out to bid,
Okay.
to see what comes back, to make sure that then we can properly propose it in a budget and determine if we're able to take it out of this year's money or if we have to plan and budget for it for next year's budget. I'm not saying no, I believe we need a chiller there, but I don't feel comfortable saying just go use them without doing our due diligence.
I agree with her there. I would definitely just put it out for bid.
And also, another consideration, which we spoke a little bit about earlier this morning, is, Mr. Mann, can this type of work be done while school is in session?
Yes.
Okay. So even if we drift into early spring or whatever, it's not like we have to wait for summer break. We could do this work. Now, there may be some alteration to instruction when we have cranes going over, buildings and stuff like that. We would have to make sure safety would be involved.
Sure.
But it wouldn't necessarily be a total shutdown of instruction for multiple days. Or we don't have to wait, I guess what I'm trying to say is, we don't have to wait for summer break.
Yep. We just put a new air conditioning chiller system in. And we put 4 new units in, and it wasn't even close to that. And we're a fairly large building, and that was a local company. So I do ask that we go out for bids on it. I'm not sold on just the CoStar, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
we
support
agree
that,
with you.
yeah.
Okay, sure.
We have nothing to lose by
No.
now.
Yeah.
So, good point, Gil.
And then Mrs. Moltors, if you could just kind of share a little bit about the current state of our budget, what this could potentially do if we were to do multiple purchases out of this budget year to fund balance, those type of considerations.
Yeah, so when I saw this morning, my concern right away got to, we are currently sitting in a state of affair without a state budget. If it gets to the point where, we are looking January, February, I mean, there's not a lot of movement at the state level right now. They're on two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have $8 million invested right now. That is coming up the end of November, and I haven't done a lot of investing with anything else for fear that money's gonna get tied up somewhere and we're not gonna get any state funding, and I'm gonna need to pull it out early, and we're gonna pay penalties and everything else for that. So I do have some turning around in November. I will probably invest a little bit more, but I gotta lie to you, I have over $1 million in the budget in the interest that we have been earning the last couple of years, and I don't think we're gonna hit that this year. I mean, that's a revenue, a what if and hopes, and just with what is happening at the state level, it's not affording me the opportunity to be an aggressive investor at this point in time, which I've been in the past. So this scares me with the almost $500,000 all at once coming out of a budget. In past years, we have been fortunate enough where our revenues have exceeded our expenditures, and this money would have been in the budget. I'm concerned with where we stand right now without a state budget, that I'm going to have that much additional revenues to cover this. So if the board does end up getting to the point where we want to do both, I think it's going to be a board motion that we're going to have to take it out of fund balance for fear that we're not going to have the excess funds in our budget at the end of this year. But then we've approved it that it's okay that we use fund balance to cover that in case we overexpend our budget.
What fund balance is for.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
That's exactly where I was kind of even feeling like this might need to come out of that. This is an important thing that needs to happen. It doesn't need to happen today, like Gail said, but it is something that we definitely need to replace, not repair.
Absolutely. So if I hear everyone correctly, we want to go for an RFP. So that'll give us about a month. We have to run it 3 weeks. So that does give us some more time into the year. Hopefully by then we'll have more of an idea on a budget. That push back further into the fall then would also mean that we'll probably be switching from cooling into heating. So we can extend it a little bit longer. We'll have more of an idea. Maybe even be able to push it off till next March before it starts warming up.
And I agree with all of this, by the way. This is an excellent conversation, and I'm glad that we're having it.
Absolutely.
Are you comfortable if the RFP has them break it out as if it was a single replacement and a double replacement? So we can just kind of capture it all at once.
I would do it that way.
I want to see the double.
Okay. Just in case,
You can
depending
only
how
do
our
one at a-
budget is, we
right.
we honestly only
You have
can do
cost
one. We're already,
Yeah.
we already have that information. Okay.
But, yeah, why throw bad money?
Sure. I appreciate everyone tonight. Thank you. And that's it.
That was a lot. Okay, any questions, anybody? I will close the meeting and I will turn it over to Mrs. Culp for finance.
And I will go ahead and turn it over to Nikki. Do you want to come over here?
Might as well, come on.
Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, I am gonna just like skip over my first bullet point here. And first talk about, if you could scroll down, Steve, a little bit. Yes, so our Backpack Buddies program is actually this week we are sending out our first round of bags. We sent them out on a Friday, homeless students. So we put a sign-up form out 2.5 weeks ago or so, a half-sheet sign-up form to any families who are in need for non-perishable bags of food for to be utilized over the weekend. So we actually totaled our numbers up this morning, and as it stands, we are at 81 for the whole district. We open it up to all schools. So those will be going out this week is the first week, and then it would just continue on throughout the year for as long as we can provide this program. For our wellness committee meetings, rather than having one a year, our goal is to increase to 3 throughout the year, just to touch base more frequently with any representatives that oversee any nutrition and wellness, nursing staff, PE teachers, food service, of course, just different representatives to kind of share what's going on as it pertains to nutrition and wellness throughout the year. And those are the 3 dates we're currently looking at, trying to have it to where, teachers and other staff who aren't typically here in the evenings don't have to travel back, during a committee meeting, that we can do it earlier on in the day. And then also, rather than the virtual instruction days that we now have, those tend to be pretty busy and, teachers have to be available for students to contact them and things. Just looking at those 3 days, November 17th, January 19th, and March 20th, to carve out some time to get together to host those. The Farm to School grant, that is an annual grant that opens at the end of September. So it just opened September 29th. I am currently looking into all that's required for that. I have not yet applied for that. I'll be meeting with Dr. Stoker in the next week or so to get things put together for that and get that submitted. And then new this year, I got some pretty positive feedback so far. We have a Northern Lehigh Food Service monthly newsletter starting this year titled Dining with the Dogs. And just, any upcoming things, National Food Days, links to menus, just notifying parents of CEP, any information as it pertains to food service. So I've gotten some good feedback there that they're enjoying those notifications monthly.
It was pretty nice. Take a look at it. Yeah, I thought it was nice.
Yeah, Canva's a nice little program, so I've been playing around in that they really make it look nice in there. The National School Lunch Week is coming up, so that's the week of October 13th through the 18th, and the theme this year is Tasting the World. So we decided to specifically have different types of meals, different cultures from the 13th through the 18th for students to try. So, so that's coming up. We're excited about that. And then I will back up. I saved the best for last. We have discovered that all of our computers and monitors for our POS system terminals at all the cafeterias are approximately 7 years old now. And they no longer, I might flash this up, Eric, have a TPM chip that allows you to, that's required for the new Windows 11 update to be compliant. So we recently discovered that, or I should say the IT department did. So we're looking at purchasing new both monitors and computers themselves. There's been no official quotes sent to us yet. We just reached out earlier, or at the end of last week, and but Eric and Steven got together some preliminary numbers just based on looking at the company's websites and investigating pricing there. So for the computers, they run about $900 each. And we like to get 10 because we have 8 terminals, 2 at each school. However, we like to have 2 backups in case, anything happens to them. So we are looking for quotes for 10 each of those. And then if you scroll down a little bit, the other part of this is our scanners and PIN pads that we use. We have 2 separate devices. It's not like an all-in-one combination. And that's how we bring our students through the line. They either scan their ID, their barcode, or they punch their PIN number in as we check them through the line. We've had kind of ongoing issues with them for like 9+ months or more, but I kind of was kicking it down the line a little bit just because we were getting by, but we do have a lot of issues because they're not like the best quality ones. So we looked into what's called, there's 2 different brands, but the one that was the cheaper of the 2, I reached out to Primero Edge, which is the company that we have our POS system, all of the different modules of what we do. And they actually sell these devices, one of which is called Alpha Tech. So it's like a barcode PIN pad combo, and run about a little shy of $300 each. Again, I would get 10 just to have 2 additional backups. So all together, you know, with purchasing all 3 of those, somewhere between $13,000 to $16,000 to just upgrade everything. I do have that in the food service budget, so that would come out of food service. And hopefully, you know, sometime over one of our longer breaks coming up, starting fresh the calendar year, we will have all new devices, hopefully. I don't know if is there a cutoff time with when Windows 11 has to be installed, or
Well,
for us? I know it's
Windows
already...
10's is not going to be supported any longer
Yeah.
after this month. So the sooner the better. So we are getting her quotes on those, but just to give you an idea, those computers were purchased, we look back, they were purchased in the summer of 2018. So they are 7 years old, and they're actually, after, you know, they're going on 8 years old at this point. So I think they have definitely served their purpose. But they no longer, they don't have the TPM chip that's required to work with Windows 11, which is why they need to be updated. And but it's time anyway. When, you know, if you get a computer that lasts you 7 years, you're doing well. So they definitely serve their purpose. And this was something we had talked about actually about a year ago, even before the Windows 11 update. Nikki and I were discussing about looking into replacing these computers soon anyway. So, but yeah, I think she described everything well.
Mrs. Fink, I thought we also had, and I may be wrong, but I thought your department also had like handheld tablets. Is that accurate?
We had 1 or 2, I believe, when we were serving mobile. This was like before
Was that just for the
that was
drive-through?
several years ago. Yeah.
Okay, and like, are we in need of those? Do those have to be replaced, or are they no longer used?
No, well, we were talking about the option of having all of our terminals, right? If I remember correctly, like be like an iPad versus a full computer and monitor setup.
We had discussed looking at that at some point, but then I believe the company said they prefer the computers. But yeah, you are
Just
correct.
like-
There was a laptop they were using when they had a different setup back then, and they did have, that's when you had
Like
the
a stand
breakfast.
with the iPad on
Yeah,
it.
so they were using a laptop, but to my knowledge, they're not using that any longer, the way the
No.
setup was. Yeah.
So when we became CEP too, we had the option that if we did want to serve mobile off a cart for, say, breakfast one day, or our computers go down and like we have to get our meal counts, we're actually allowed under CEP to use clickers, like pitch counters. So we haven't been really in need of like the mobile idea of having like an iPad to travel. So
Good.
I think that's kind of why I stopped investigating the iPads.
Okay. Thank you.
So you'd rather have the full computer at the system instead of something smaller
Yeah.
to use? Okay.
Yeah, and it's nice too, because we have like big buttons that they, you know, similar to at a restaurant where you're, you know, searching for things a la carte, so having like a nice bigger screen
Gives you a
would be
larger
better
screen
for
size, yeah, so it's easier to operate for the
Yeah.
operators.
For,
Leads
yeah,
into
so-
POS, yeah.
Yeah, the children's is less.
Yeah.
You have it in there.
So, yeah, no official quotes at this time, but as they come in, you know, between now and next month's committee, I can provide more official quotes at that time, so. stuff, but just wanted to get it on the
So
radar.
you're not in need of any sort of board motion now. This is actually coming out separate from the general operating budget.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I think we should move ahead with it really, sounds like it's time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say sooner than later.
Yeah, as soon as we get the official quotes and get the pricing, we'll move on this.
Any questions? That was all I had for tonight.
Thank you.
So then we are going to go to small tourists.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to actually be pretty short tonight. The first thing that's on the agenda this evening is the Slaneyton Public Library donation. We have that built in our budget. Every year we do a donation to the Slaneyton Public Library for $5,000. So I do have that board motion, if the board is in agreement, to put that on the agenda for Monday evening for approval.
Why do we have a separate item for that? I mean, we make thousands of purchases every month. You know, why is there a separate one for the library that we have to quote approve that one item?
I think just to be transparent that we are doing a donation to a library. Like we don't donate to people, but we donate to the library. So I think just to be the formality that we're donating it to the library.
Okay, I know we've been doing it, but I just never knew why, so.
Yeah.
No problem.
I thought because it was a donation, that's why we're doing it.
Yep. The next one is St. Luke's. We received our St. Luke's donation for this year, and that was $12,500. And then every year, according to their contract, they don't bill us anymore for athletic trainer services, but I still budget for that, with the understanding then that we move that money over into our CR account every year. So we did receive their donation amount of the $12,500. We also received the $7,500 that we get from them every year, and that's for them to buy their medical supplies. So that we actually is cash in, cash out for those supplies. But the motion will be, if the board is in agreement, on the agenda to move that money from the general fund over to the capital reserve account to use for future capital improvements, like your chillers.
It's a win-win.
So, yeah, so that's, we're not paying the money to them anymore. It's all staying in-house, and they're giving us money on top of it for capital improvement stuff, so.
Mrs. Baltors, I thought that money was kind of directed toward the money owed on the baseball softball project.
Yes, it's going to replenish back the capital reserve money that we use for the baseball softball project.
Okay.
Correct. So that money that could have been used for chillers or whatever, we used for this baseball softball, but that money's coming back from that. Correct, to replenish that. Yep. And I think it was a little over $200,000 that we ended up paying out of the general capital reserve account for the final cost for the baseball softball.
What was the total cost of the donation and the transfer, just so I can note it in here?
Yep, it's $12,500 for the donation that they did, and it's a little over $34,000 for the other donation. I'll get that for you to put in there, the exact number. But in total, it's somewhere around $46,000, $47,000.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The next one is the Portnoy and statewide tax delinquent motion. So we put this on the motion every year for us to continue using Portnoy as our delinquent tax collectors for our real estate taxes. And then the other one is statewide for our delinquent per capita taxes. So that will be a board motion on Monday night approving them to continue on, if the board is still in agreement with using those two companies for our delinquent tax collections. Okay. And then the last one is the big one. So it's the charter school payment withholding resolution. So we have been working with our solicitor in order to create a draft resolution to, at the current time, not pay any more of our charter school bills from October forward until the state issues us our budget and passes a budget and issues us our state funding. So if the board is in agreement with that, that is the resolution that we have to present before the board for approval on Monday evening. This is the way that pretty much all Lehigh County schools are doing some form of holding of payment for charter schools.
So I would like to share with the board that we would be one of the most aggressive ones in withholding 100%. Many of them are only withholding an amount equal to their kind of staged reimbursement from PDE, okay? Our solicitors said that that's typically what they've been recommending. I am recommending that we withhold 100% of the tuition owed to charters and cyber charter schools until the state budget is passed and we begin to receive our funding. My recommendation is based on that this money quickly becomes our safety net the longer that there's no state budget. And when we need to do things like, God forbid, a chiller fails at Slatington or something like that in the midst of all of this, I don't think that we should be transferring our safety net to a charter or cyber charter school. I'm recommending that we withhold 100% of the funding. This mirrors what Northern Lehigh School District did in 2015.
So if we withhold it now, will we still have to pay it back then once we get our
Yes.
budget?
Yes.
Will we be putting the money aside in a separate account or something to make sure that it's earmarked for that and not that it's just filtered in our budget? You know, I don't want this money to be, I want to make sure we put it aside in it. When that time comes, we need to pay it back. It's there and we don't worry about it.
Correct. Correct.
I
mean,
know you
it's,
do
it's,
that.
yeah, it's a bill we have to pay anyway.
Yeah.
But we won't pay it until
Till it's absolutely
correct. And the only repercussions that charter schools have to get their money from us is to attack our subsidy. Go ahead, we don't have any subsidy coming in. And that's what happened last time. And then we kind of contacted the charter schools as soon as we've received notice that we had them, and we said, in 5 days, we're issuing you your check. So that they knew they didn't proceed for PDE and try and get the money through a transfer and attacking our subsidy payments. So that's what happened last time, and it worked flawless, seamless.
And we're one of the
They have
smaller
deep
districts
pockets.
though, too. So Bethlehem, I know they passed the resolution. I saw it.
Held that at like 24% or something like that.
Yeah, well, they can, because they have that much more money. Ours is so much smaller.
I would recommend when we receive the first invoice from the charters, we respond by sharing this resolution with them.
Correct, that's
Just
what we did
send
last
them
time.
the resolution instead of the payment.
Yep, that is exactly what we did last time. We sent copies of all the resolutions with a letter that stated, we will pay you as soon as our state budget.
And
funding comes.
you didn't have back charges or anything?
Nope.
Like no penalties or anything like that?
Nope.
Does any board member have a concern with doing this?
My only concern is that we do have charter schools, of course, that are educating children as well as public schools are educating children. And then if everyone's doing that to the other schools, how are they educating the children? That's my only ethical concern. But I know it is what it is. We don't have a budget and, you know, what are you going to do? So maybe it'll push legislators to make things happen.
Well, I think it's an appropriate message to send to legislators that they need to move on this
They
because
need to do
this is real.
Yeah.
I suspect the charters that we work with have healthy fund balances.
Exactly. They're for profit.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. They're for profit, period.
Yeah, they're in better shape than we are.
Go for it.
Okay, so then this resolution will be on next Monday's board agenda for consideration by the whole board. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is all that I have for finance this evening. Thank you.
At this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Snyder for the Extra and Co-Curricular Committee.
Oh, me again. All right, I'd like to open up the Extra and Co-Curricular Committee, and I think I'm turning it over to Dr. Lynn.
Yes, Dr. Rush Wallace is not able to be here this evening because there's a number of events happening at home campus tonight, so she's down being game administrator for those events. I'd like to share first just kind of a report outlet. This past Friday, we had our first responders night. Was that this past Friday? No, it was 2 Fridays ago. I'm sorry. 2 Fridays ago in Bulldog Stadium, we had our First Responders Appreciation Night. We had about 40 first responders from the various different companies listed there below attend. This is where they each received a $10 voucher, actually 2 $5 vouchers, to participate in either our concession stand, the band booster stand, and the French fry stand was receiving them that night as well. This money is not coming out, the cost of the vouchers is not coming out of our general fund. It was coming through other donations given to the district. And then what happens is the concession stands let us know the vouchers, they turn the vouchers back in, and then the money that we send to them actually winds up going directly into the concession stand for sports boosters, the band booster stand for the bands, or the independent food trucks pick a team recipient that they would like to give it to. So it's kind of like a win-win-win, and we get to show the appreciation for all of our first responders, which do great things for our school district and truly show up when we need them most, but also show up to do things like fire education, fire prevention week, and just kind of working with our students. Tomorrow will be our first safety committee meeting with all the local first responder companies and a couple other participants, and they are actively engaged in those meetings as well. That particular night, we also, again through the donations, purchased cupcakes for them as well as like a dessert. There was actually more cupcakes than first responders. So and this is like a proud moment. Our fan section, our student section that night was excellent. They were so engaged in cheering on their team, our band, cheering on the cheerleaders, and they were very well behaved. Even when in the second half, when the outcome of the game took a turn for the worse for Northern Lehigh, they were still there active. They stayed the entire game to where we decided that they were able to come down. We handed over the cupcakes to some student leaders, and then they handed them out to the student section. And they were very grateful for it, to the point where I said to them, hey, listen, just make sure the wrappers don't wind up all over the bleacher floors. 3 of those, I guess they were probably seniors, 3 of those young ladies, after everybody left, went down, carried a garbage can up onto the bleachers and went around and make sure there was nothing laying around. And I think that's reflective of that type of night. It was a very good night.
That's awesome.
So next, I'd like to share some information coming up about homecoming events. We do have a community member that has signed up to speak about homecoming events. I would like to kind of go through here, and then I'll turn the floor over to Mrs. Fick to share what she would like to share this evening. So coming up, we will have our events on Thursday evening, which we will recognize our fall sports teams, especially the seniors. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have the actual bonfire this year because of the burn ban in Slatington. And I appreciate, again, the Slatington Fire Departments for working with us and helping us to get to a decision that's safe for not only that night on our campus, but really the greater community, because it is very dry out there. The next evening, we will have the parade, which goes down Bulldog Lane, and I actually need to put that in here. We'll be on homecoming parade will be on the 10th, and the crowning of the king and queen will also take place at a halftime of the game. And then the next day will be our homecoming dance at the high school the next evening, actually. There's a number of senior recognitions that have been occurring through last week and through the rest of this week. And then for personnel, Dr. Rush Wallace asked that I share that we have conducted the girls' varsity basketball coach vacancies. We now do have our second co-advisor for the crochet club, Mrs. Blocker, who is a paraeducator that is now newly at the middle school this year. She jumped right into that. Academic Challenge, we're still looking for an advisor there, and for the middle school newspaper. One of our brand-new teachers to the school district, Mr. Bart Franta, that teaches Spanish and works in our ELDP department, has said that he would like to actually lead the foreign language club at the middle school as well. So he jumped right into, now he's an experienced teacher, but he's new to Northern Lehigh. But he jumped right into, so he said, I think this is right up my alley, and I would like to do that. Any questions on any of the events?
The time of the bonfire and the time of the parade.
The time of the bonfire, we begin that at 6 p.m.
6 to 8.
6 to 8, and we'll have, the food trucks will also be there, the student organizations that put out their tables and do some fundraising and awareness.
Cheering and band,
Yep,
all that.
yep, so that'll all, the only thing not happening is the actual bonfire that evening. And I would say, I'd like to compliment Dr. Biley and Mr. Williams because they actually sent a survey out to all seniors. And, I'm sorry, to all school students at the high school asking for input on that. So that that's the direction we'll go. Hopefully next year the weather is more cooperative.
And parade, is that like
The parade, I believe the parade starts right at 5:30. Do you know what time they actually launch, like the parade actually begins?
I believe it is 5:30 and it leaves from down near where
By
Rensselaer's is.
Rensselaer's, yeah.
And then they start coming up, yeah.
Yeah, and we can get those at that exact time, and then they usually filter.
Dog dish.
Yeah.
Dog dish.
Yeah.
I'm checking right now. Like, we're
Yeah,
already
they
at
start
5.
staging around 5. And then, that'll be, again, our homecoming court, our band. Typically, our school police officers also participate in that as well with their cruisers. So, okay, any other questions?
Just a question on personnel. How do we determine when maybe it's time to not have an activity anymore?
Sure.
I was looking through like some of the sports and we have like one participant in some of the activities and it's like one senior, let me say one senior in, I don't want to get into the specifics, but there weren't a whole lot of participants. And at what point do we say,
sure,
we're no longer going to have football because there's only 3 guys playing,
So a number of years ago, and actually through the last contractual negotiations with Northern Lehigh Education Foundation, there was a subcommittee that came together that put a how does a club come to be, but how does a club also sunset? And what happens is if it goes 1 year without participation, or to the rate where it could be participation and a viable activity, it goes dormant. If it's the same status next year, nobody no group of students or advisors breathes life back into it, at the end of that next year, then it actually sunsets, but then that money stays within that pot for the advisors, and it's there in case another club would like to form. And I'm going to look to Mr. Briner, and Tim, if you don't mind, Mr. Weber, because I know Mr. Briner was one of the lead people working with NLEA representation to kind of put that process in place. Was that description accurate?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's first year becomes dormant, and then on the second year it would become defunct is the terminology that we used.
And to answer Mr. Green's question, there were clubs for years that were on paper that didn't exist, and this cleaned up all that.
It was all cleaned up then.
And it gives a process for teachers or any advisors who want to start a club too. So I believe it's what, $100 the first year?
For the first year, yep.
And then they put in a budget and they submit how many students were involved that first year.
Okay. I can't put my finger on it at the moment, but we'll have conversations.
Thank you. Any other questions on the agenda items? Okay, then we do have a community member, Mrs. Fick, who has signed up to speak this evening.
Hi. I'll be honest, and I don't really have anything specific prepared because I wasn't quite sure what to expect here this evening, but I'm going to assume that everyone saw the letter videos that were submitted prior to this evening. And the main reason that I was here was to ask for consideration on my daughter's behalf and allowing her to attend the homecoming dance, which she has been prohibited to attend because of an incident that took place about a month ago, as described in the letter. In addition to asking for that consideration, I think that we also need to maybe expand consideration into the policies in the gray area between self-defense and fighting, because this incident clearly shows that my daughter was literally backed into a corner by a group of students and was given no opportunity to react. She was literally thrown to the wolves, and the perpetrator that committed the act, that was her main goal. There was going to be a fight no matter what and or where, and she made that happen. The videos that I witnessed were very difficult for me to watch. I think that my child handled herself well. I don't know what anyone else could offer as a solution in her situation at that time. She did what she had to do, and I found out after the fact that someone actually did have to go and seek out help to break that altercation up. So as far as being punished for defending yourself, I completely disagree with that. Had my daughter been provoked and started provoking back, I would be in absolute agreement with, dual punishment. However, she did not engage. She did not look at the girl. She did not she didn't even stand up. She was, I think, hoping that the group would just go about their business if they just ignored them, but that did not happen. So that is the other reason that I did want to speak, that I think that is something that needs to be looked at, because to punish someone that is trying to protect their safety, it is not right, it's not fair. And then it sends a message to other students that may be in that same situation. If they're getting bullied, what difference does it make? I'm gonna get suspended, or I'm gonna get in trouble anyway. So that's the main reason why I wanted to be here tonight, that might be something that I think needs to be taken into consideration for future incidents, to look at things on a case-by-case basis and have all the facts in place before the punishment is handed down. And in all honesty, I did feel safer having my child at home for those 3 days after that incident occurred, because you don't know, are there other students that are going to retaliate or try to pick up where that left off. However, at the same time, having that on her record, I don't think is justifiable given the circumstances of the event that took place. That's going to carry forward with her. She's looking at colleges, and this was a situation that was not anywhere within her control. She was surrounded like a lone cub, in the woods by a bunch of wild animals, and so that's really my point to make, is that I think we need to look at bullying and self-defense versus somebody actually engaged in fighting. That's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you, Mrs. Fick. I appreciate you sharing that with the board this evening. Can't comment on student discipline issues, but I'm comfortable sharing with you that administration has received direction to relook at handbook and policy. Thank you. And Mrs. Snyder, that's all I have.
Is there anything else then? Any other questions? No? All right, then we will close the extra and co-curricular committee meeting for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
That's it.
That's it.
We're finished here. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for everyone for coming.
Thank you.